As the battle between the elite hunters from both countries erupted, Jin-Woo felt a twinge of regret that Goto Ryuji wasn't participating. Still, witnessing the clash held valuable lessons. Initially, each fighter sought a suitable opponent, testing their skills in one-on-one duels. Both sides boasted hunters of exceptional combat strength. Ma Dongwook and his opponent exchanged hundreds of blows, while Lim Tae-gyu appeared to be at a disadvantage, constantly retreating from his Japanese adversary. However, this was a calculated strategy. He lured his opponent in before counterattacking, from a distance, playing to his strengths. From above, Choi Jong-in turned to the chairman and asked whether the facility was reinforced with high-grade magic stones. Mr. Go Gun-hee smiled and confirmed it was. Meanwhile, Baek Yoon-ho observed the battlefield, understanding that these were top-tier hunters. One young man seemed more focused on dodging than fighting, giving the impression of being non-combative. Sensing something, President Baek turned, his gaze toward Goto Ryuji. Perhaps this battle was a test, a way to gauge whether the fighters had the determination needed for the upcoming war against the ants. If that was the case, Baek Yoon-ho would take things more seriously. What followed was a battle of monsters. The A-rank hunters could barely compare. At that moment, Ma Dong-wook was unexpectedly taken down. Baek Yoon-ho tried to finish off his opponent, but they were too agile. On the other side, Cha Hai-in took the initiative. Her combat style resembled a graceful dance, making it impossible for her opponent to predict her movements. She swiftly secured victory and rushed to aid her comrade, only to be targeted by a masked fighter. Sensing danger, she instinctively launched a relentless assault, striking his face repeatedly. The other hunters couldn't fully grasp what had happened in that instant, but when the masked fighter spat blood, his demeanor changed. Enraged, he unleashed a rapid barrage of attacks, surpassing even Cha Hai-in's speed. Acknowledging his prowess, she adjusted her stance. Then he deployed a smoke screen, preparing a finishing blow. However, the move seemed overly malicious, forcing Jin-Woo to intervene. The battle had clearly escalated beyond a mere sparring match. Enraged, the masked fighter charged again but was immediately subdued. Even at full strength, he was no match. Watching from the sidelines, Goto Ryuji turned to his secretary, questioning whether Jin-Woo was truly a magic-type hunter. Hanakawa confirmed it was the case, but Goto wanted to see for himself. Meanwhile, the Japanese team leader declared that their side had lost the match. But Hanakawa stepped forward, issuing a direct challenge to Jin-Woo. Sensing the man's determination, Jin-Woo understood. This was no ordinary duel. He agreed to the fight, but on one condition. Hanakawa had to go all out. A clash of titans. As the battle commenced, Jin-Woo casually warmed up, prompting admiration from the senior hunters observing. However, Hanakawa was not to be underestimated. Someone asked why they didn't stop the fight, considering how unfair it was to face a magic user in close combat. Baek Yoon-ho agreed but remained silent, intrigued. Before Jin-Woo could signal the start, Hanakawa attacked. Annoyed, Jin-Woo mused that opponents should at least wait until he finished speaking. Goto Ryuji, still watching, was baffled. Jin-Woo's speed, almost like teleportation, was beyond comprehension. Frustrated, Goto gathered his strength for a decisive strike, but he couldn't land a hit. Jin-Woo effortlessly dodged, realizing that while Goto was stronger than an average S-rank hunter, that was his limit. Laughing, Jin-Woo further enraged his opponent. Hanakawa unleashed a flurry of punches, yet Jin-Woo continued dodging, assessing his strength. The lack of retaliation only fueled Hanakawa's desperation. Finally, in a moment of pure aggression, Hanakawa launched a finishing blow, but Jin-Woo caught his wrist effortlessly, securing victory. Despite this, Jin-Woo chose not to end the fight. He wanted more. Both fighters unleashed their full power, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The intensity terrified the onlookers, forcing an intervention. When the dust settled, everyone marveled at Jin-Woo's ability to contend with Goto Ryuji while sustaining only a minor scratch. In reality, he had performed an even greater feat, covertly, attaching his shadow soldiers to everyone present. As the battle concluded, Jin-Woo addressed the looming threat, the Jeju Island incident. Meanwhile, Japan's hunters were discussing Jin-Woo's awakening. Upon reviewing the records, they were shocked to find that he had not participated in the original Jeju Island raid. Confident in their own strength, Japan's team leader assured his men that, with a decade's worth of S-rank hunters, they had nothing to fear. The Queen's awakening back home, Jin-Woo reunited with his mother and sister, reluctant to leave them. But on Jeju Island, a sinister development was unfolding. The ant colony, having run out of food, had resorted to cannibalism. Desperate, the Queen sought a way off the island. She needed a stronger successor, an offspring that could lead the colony to a new home. Then, the largest egg in her clutch hatched. Unlike the others, this creature was different. Its body was already as large as an adult's, its color shifting from red to black. As the Queen called out, the sky over Jeju Island turned crimson, an ominous signal. The final war begins. Meanwhile, anticipation built across South Korea. Jin-Woo urged a teammate to stay behind, warning that her rank was too low. Elsewhere, two long-separated comrades reunited, smiling at each other. Perhaps Jin-Woo had been the one pushing them to take up the fight. The next day, warships encircled Jeju Island, and tension hung thick in the air. The weaker hunters were visibly anxious, questioning whether they could even take down a single ant. Japan's strongest hunters were already in position. South Korea's forces were just now arriving, with reporters broadcasting the event live. This was it. If they failed, South Korea could be wiped off the map. As the monster attraction team began their mission, they emitted massive amounts of magical energy, luring the ants out. From above, Baek Yunho watched in horror as a crimson tide of monsters surged toward them. Choi Jong-in struck first, unleashing a relentless barrage of fireballs, exhilarated by the challenge. The hunters landed, knowing the Japanese team could only hold the swarm for an hour. Every second counted. Outside, naval fleets activated interference waves to disrupt the Queen's signals. The Japanese hunters fought fiercely, debating whether to eliminate the swarm first or wait for the Koreans to handle the rear forces. Inside the cave, Choi Jong-in created a protective barrier against returning worker ants. With no time to explore every tunnel, he rained fireballs into the openings, probing the path ahead. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo remained unfazed, casually completing his daily push-ups. With an all-S-rank assault team, he assumed they could handle the battle without him. Then, Cha Hai-in discovered the Queen's egg chamber. At the top, a colossal egg had hatched. The sheer scale of their evolution was terrifying. Outside, the Japanese hunters remained composed until they turned to ask for ease, healing only to find their comrade decapitated. The battle had truly begun,